Welcome to Hangout from Times Ascent. My name is Sujit John, and I have been a journalist with the Times of India for more than 25 years now. I will moderate this discussion today. We will be discussing a topic that's particularly relevant to youngsters, but also for HR professionals. It's about internships. From whatever I hear, internships can be invaluable. Employers today rely heavily on resumes that illustrate a relevant work history, whether that's from internships, volunteer work, or actual job experience. I know many educational institutions are pushing their students to take up internships, especially during summer breaks. But going by what I have seen in TOI, some students take internships. Uh, some students take internships very seriously. They ask for work, for assignments, for work. We have muted. There's some noise in the background. There's some noise in the background, Ajinkya.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some noise in the background. Yeah. Okay. So as I was saying, going by what I have seen in TOI, some students take internships very seriously. They ask for work, for assignments, and they try to do a good job. Some others take it like a picnic. They sit around, chat with their friends from the same college, and then leave after a month or two. The students we get are from the arts and the communication side. I don't know whether it's similar on the engineering side or the technical side. So I think with the job market so competitive, what you do during an internship can determine how quickly you get a job and how good a job you can get. To discuss this, we have three distinguished HR professionals. We have with us Vikramjit Singh. Vikram is head of HR and corporate services group for South Asia and the global supply chain management company Fung Group. Vikram is a Harvard Business School alumnus. He has led HR functions at various leading organizations, including in the areas of development, consultancy, media, entertainment, and technology-enabled services. Welcome, Vikram.
Thank you.
We have Dr. Reema Ghosh Chaudhary. Reema is EVP and Head of HR and Data Matrix Global Services. Reema has been an HR practitioner for over 2 decades. She has been instrumental in building technology and leadership capabilities in companies like IBM, Sony Pictures Networks India, Quinox, and Haldia Petrochemicals. She is an international mentor for HR students of Middlesex University Business School, UK. Welcome, Reema. We have Frederick Courier. Frederick is Senior Associate VP of HR and Broking and Investment Banking from Darashaw. Frederick, too, is a seasoned HR professional. He has created and implemented HR strategies that have successfully driven business initiatives related to profitability, talent development, and effective change management. He's a guest lecturer at the IIMs and IITs. He has authored a book on employability. Welcome, Frederick.
Thank you.
Those who are doing this, you can send in questions in the question section of this webinar application. My first question to all of you: how important is an internship? What would you tell those who treat internships, like I said, at least in TOI, sometimes they treat it like a picnic? How important is internship? Reema, you want to start?
Oh, sure. Thank you so much, Sujit. It's a privilege for me to be addressing this huge gathering of young practitioners and people who are about to enter the corporate world. The topic is also very pertinent, something that's extremely useful for any professional. So thank you for this opportunity, and good to be introduced to all my esteemed co-panelists. Thank you, Sujit. So yes, internship, I believe, is extremely important, and I can mention my case. So I sincerely believe that today, whatever little I've been able to achieve in the corporate world is because of the internship opportunity I had got with Hindustan Unilever, which was long time back. But it was kind of a stepping stone for my career, and to be, to help me be acquainted with the different kinds of demands and expectations that corporate world has. So internship is that particular peek into the corporate, a sneak peek into the corporate world. And if you make the most of it, I would say, a lot of your preparation is done even before you have formally entered the corporate world.
Okay. Vikram?
Yeah, Sujit, you asked whether, how should students take it, an internship, right? So, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you're, of course, there are some students, who do it only for the sake of doing it because it's part of their curriculum. But those guys are actually doing a disservice to their career. And I would kind of discount those people as they are not career or academically inclined. Those who are pretty serious about their career path, their trajectory, what they really want to do, they already have given it a thought. They in fact try to extract as much as they can from an internship experience. And I always tell to all the youngsters when I meet them, who have interned in, or interns, if I get to speak to them, I tell them that the limit to your learning is where you limit yourself. So where you put a stop to your learning is where you stop learning. So I think it's an opportunity that that of course one is part of curriculum of most programs. So they have to do it. So why not make the most of it? And really make a mark. So of course we will talk more about it in your as the discussion involves. But that would be my opening comment.
Okay. Frederick, you were discussing this with yesterday. We were discussing this, and you were saying when you go for an internship, be clear about why you want to do an internship and what is the end purpose that you're trying to achieve. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first and foremost, the biggest, a lot of people look at internship for various reasons, but the most important resource you do have on planet Earth is time. A lot of people say, I didn't have the time to do this, I didn't have the time to do that. Unfortunately, time is constant. We come and we go, right? Now, how you utilize this time totally depends on you. And when it comes to an internship, people take internships or they do the right things for the wrong reasons. Some people look at internships as a part of their curriculum. I need to do my internship, otherwise I'm not going to get my degree certificate. Some people look at an internship as, well, it's good to get an exposure. Let me go and see what is this all about. But the bottom line is, where did this concept come from? It is an evolution, or it's come from what used to be at one point of time very well known, a very well known practice of being an apprentice. Right now, if you want to bring in educational, if you want to vocationalize a lot of these programs, a lot of higher education institutes, they make this mandatory as a part of their curriculum. But what then happens is it becomes institutionalized, but the purpose of doing the internship gets lost. So understanding why you're doing that internship is very important in you going about choosing the right internship for you. I'd rather do an internship from where I get what I desire to get at the end of it. So for example, if there is a lack of career clarity, for example, a lot of people, generally in business schools or engineering colleges, they listen to a lot of people around them. And a lot of people say, what? Your communication skills are good. Why don't you try sales? Oh, you're a people person. Why don't you try HR? And people don't understand, and they have this idea of what the job can be, right? They don't know what the job really is. To contextualize that, it is very important to identify what you want to do and go and get this immersive experience for a short period of time in that kind of environment, which talks about or allows you to experience the culture. It allows you to experience the ground reality. What exactly is the job? Case in point, investment banking. People are fascinated with investment banking. They see the suits, they see the glamour, they see the Starbucks coffees, they see the the big cars, but do they actually understand what does it take to be an investment banker? What exactly is the job? Is it rocket science? So understanding what exactly is the job, understanding what you want to do long time as a career, the internship can be the best platform to experiment and find out what suits you best. And nobody's going to judge you. You get into a job and you quit every 3-6 months, people judge you. You do 5 internships, do it in different fields, nobody's going to judge you, because we know you're experimenting and finding yourself in those internships, and that's more encouraged.
Okay. Rima, you want to add to that? What was your specific experience with the Hindustan Lever stint you had?
Yeah, so the reason why I attribute so much of importance to that particular internship is because one's internship gives a lot of exposure to every single individual, I believe, no matter what's the name of the company, wherever you're from, it does add a lot of value. In my case, so I clearly remember this was long back, and my project was something on HR accounting. And that was not a topic which was so very much in vogue at that point in time. It was something which was used by very few companies. And incidentally, I joined in at a time when I was in my first year. I just completed first year, which typically in these schools was the year of general management, where we learn HR, marketing, systems, and everything. And only after that 2 months internship, we would get into the specialization year. That was the model, at least in my business school. So I go there, and incidentally, I don't really know much about HR, just about enough probably to crack the interview. But if I remember right, I would focus more on the general competencies that I possess, and very clearly mention that I don't know what I don't know. So that's how it was. And then this project comes to me, and this was in Mangalore detergent factory. And when I realized that, I had no clue about this, and the kind of approach that they adopted, it was basically to let me know that this is your project. You can have all kind of help and support, but how you go about it, the direction setting and everything has got to be yours. So which means I start thinking which companies have done it, and I'm a 1-year-old rookie in this particular field, and who would even take me seriously? And I'm told that why Infosys has implemented, go check with the CFO. BHEL has implemented, go check it out with them. And here I go checking out with these people, and I see that my emails are garnering that desired response as well. I get what I'm looking for. And then I'm told, well, these are people who are already doing it. How about thinking of something new? And then I do my own research, and I look at different kinds of models which are applicable for this particular topic. I remember I came up with a model which was Scott Myers and Vincent Flowers. This was so long back, but it's so well etched in the memory because I never imagined that I could be pushed to that heights where I can think of things like these. And that too in the absence of a direct guide or a mentor who would tell me, do this, do that. So that kind of freedom and authority. So I realized that when you're given a lot of responsibility and when you're trusted with something, all the more it makes you, feel worthy of that kind of trust and responsibility. So internship teaches you to be very, very resourceful, to be aware of what goes around, to be very jugaru, if you understand that Indian term, management by jugaad. So not that things are there in front of me, but I will somehow maneuver things and manipulate things and make things happen. So navigating that corporate maze, that's something which my internship taught me. Until date, all the students that I've come in contact with, I tell them that one thing, that what internship teaches you is how to navigate this maze, because we are so new to it. These schools don't teach that for sure.
Okay, interesting. Frederick also talked about trying to experiment with multiple internships in different companies to figure out what you want to do in life. You think even that's even feasible in the, sometimes I find people struggling to get internships, but what is your sense?
Is this question for me, Sujit?
And I was asking Vikram, doing multiple internships to check out where you might fit in, what you want to do in life.
Yeah. So, Sujit, I mean, professional life is all about marketing yourself, right? So each time, right from, in fact, now marketing yourself, things have changed. Social media, when now that it has come in, individuals are marketing themselves on social media every day, because you want to tell out the world outside, hey, I am good, or I am better, or choose me for this. You want to keep reaching out to the external world. When you talk of professional life, right from the college that you choose, the program that you do, you're marketing yourself. You're telling your prospective professional world that, hey, I am going to be a product of, say, this organization or this education institute. Similarly, internship is an opportunity for you to market yourself, to different organizations. Of course, when you complete your education and you are sitting in an interview board, interview is also about marketing yourself. You are telling them, hey, choose me over somebody else. So, to your point of doing multiple internships, yes, as many internships as you can get, not for the sake of building your CV, while that is a strategic move, that's good enough, but, I would get, of course, if I look at a CV, I would be happy and I would get impressed that, fine, this person showed that initiative and drive to reach out to various organizations to try their hand at different things, and they learn new skills and they've been exposed to new ways of working, new work cultures, new work environments. They had the courage of testing new waters. But but it's only on paper, right? I have but when you meet when you meet such a candidate, they should be able to tell us or tell the interviewer or tell the organization that what did they really do. Most of the time people say or respond in an element of we did this, we did that. I am more interested in doing the I part of it. Okay, what was your role or what did you do? Or given somebody is an intern, for all you know, strategic work may not be coming their way, but what initiatives or what was the reach outs, what all sorts of reach out they did. So it's like, I need to see the spikes, in their attitude, in their behavior, in their coachability, and in turn, also if they need the mentoring of all the people in their organization, they have to remain coachable, So I have to see all those things. But definitely, if somebody has had the opportunity of getting exposed to multiple organizations, multiple industries, multiple skill sets, each industry or each organization, even within the same industry, have their own ways of working. The complexities are different, the dynamics are different. If different industries, the competition set is different, you are reaching out for different products or different services. So I think those couple of internships, in a variety of industries or skill sets, your education function could be the same, but if you had the opportunity to expose yourself to various industries or organizations or even regions for that matter, away from your base, whether a different city in India or a different country for that matter, I think that really shapes up an individual. More than them becoming attractive to the employer, I think they are doing a service to themselves. That it's like they're sharpening themselves. For the real thing. So this internship, they're sharpening the axe. To do their job well. Once
But
they
the connects to the employers also help eventually, I imagine.
exactly, you do well. Any employer, would have you on their radar, and whether it is a PPI or a PPO, pre-placement, interview or a pre-placement offer. Even if an employer does not have anything at that point of time, they'll keep you in mind. That hey, this person did really well, and we would love to have them on board. Who would like to lose a trained resource or somebody who shows that kind of attitude, behavior, that kind of initiative and drive? Those are the competencies that employers look for. Of course, they can train and teach you about their ways of working, but being coachable, do you really want to do this? First of all, or are you just here? Are you just floating around? So I think employers need to see, does this person really want this? So
Okay.
demonstrating that want is something that can differentiate one from another person.
Frederick, are there lots of internships available? I sometimes find candidates struggling, students struggling to get internships. Is that also a problem?
Well, yes and no, both. Um, well, if you look at the Indian education system, if you see, I mean, we one, of course, the population as a whole of the country, and then if you see the number of schools or educational institutes, are so many, and if you actually see, from that perspective, so many educational institutes or colleges having a curriculum and a need for the people to go out. and look for internship. Of course, I mean, if you were to do a categorization system, I'm sure if you were to look at top tier institutes, maybe A or B, they would have a fairly good track record of placing their students. Of course, but which is why that employer, how does the brand happen? So it also is a matter of fact that if you are really conscious about your career, you would do well to get into a good tier college, right? But frankly, yes, the supply is always more than the demand. So that equation has
Okay.
for
Okay.
opportunities.
Frederick, you want to add to that?
Yeah, so a couple of very pertinent points made by Vikram. First and foremost is you don't do internships to build your CV, right? You do it for yourself. And one very important point, and what this shows and what we need to encourage is people should accept failure. It's okay to make mistakes. That's what internships are about. It's about experimenting and finding about yourself. It's not about having that perfect CV and that perfect individual. It's good to find real people when you're interviewing them. When you go to a B school, you don't want to see this cookie cutter approach where everybody's done 10 live projects. They are part of 2 clubs. 80%, all of them are engineers. What is setting you apart? What makes you unique? Do you have that ability? Do you have that maturity to introspect? Do you have the ability and the maturity to experiment? Do you have that drive to find out what you really want to do? It's all about finding your purpose. And like I said, if you have that career clarity, things become so great. I would love to work with someone who has career clarity and says, you know what, this is what I want to do, and this is how your internship is going to help me get there. And in the process, this is what you're going to get out of this process. Rather than someone who comes and tells you, sir, le lijiye na sir, kuch bhi kar lunga, whatever you say, sir. You get what I'm trying to say? It's good to have the attitude that I'll do anything, but if you have that career clarity and that sharpness, and that is the winning edge.
Okay, Rima, when a candidate is doing up a CV, the internship, I mean, as hirers, you take that internship thing very seriously, or what is your sense?
Yeah,
and
of course.
what should the candidate put on the CV when they're talking about the internship?
First of all, I would definitely value CVs which have internships mentioned on them, because that tells me that the person has taken that effort to get himself or herself acquainted with the corporate world. If there are more internships on that CV, yes, that does tell me that this is a person who's been enterprising enough to find these things for himself or herself, because not that every college would be giving options for multiple internships, right? There is a summers, and then there would be a winter internship, probably. If somebody is very lucky, then maybe a couple of live projects along the way. But more number of internships do mean something. However, there is one catch there. So whatever we put on CV, it's not only applicable for freshers, but even for corporate professionals. Whatever we have put on our CV, we have to own that completely. So when there is someone who's questioning that what exactly did you do there, what's the value that you brought in, like Vikram was mentioning that he values that I part in that we. So we has its own value, we all know that. But the I is also so important because it helps us to differentiate and distinguish what's the unique value that that particular intern brings in. So there have been times when maybe on the face value, a CV has seemed very good, lots of things put in there. And the moment you do a probe and it comes out that the person has really been skimming the top. So that doesn't really paint a very good picture of that candidate. So that's a pitfall that students have to keep in mind, that just putting loads of things on the CV is not right. But if you put loads of things and if you are able to justify each one of them and bring out the contribution of yours, then that definitely sets you apart from the rest. What you put on the CV, again, that has the internship topics, and that would also have the extracurriculars, right? So we have to keep in mind that internship performance, we cannot really gauge a whole lot of it, because in most organizations, they would go through a process. Some of the internships would be of the nature where you know that there has been a lot of research and legwork involved, but some would be regular routine projects. So that's where I would like to complement that part with the extracurriculars as well, because people participating in team sports, being a part of collective, people who have honed the interpersonal skills considerably with time by way of experience in working on different things. So these are definitely things that add up, and it's important to be honest. So if you don't know something, just in case something comes up and you realize that, yes, there's been a book, I've written something, but I'm not really too sure about that subject, it's absolutely okay to say that, I haven't really gone to that depth, but this is something which I can definitely look up later, and I need to invest more on myself on this area. So it's important to be honest. Vulnerability is not bad at all, even at senior levels. I mean, we talk about vulnerable leadership as well. So it's good to be honest and sincere about what you know and perhaps even what you don't know. So that's my take.
Okay, okay.
Sujit, may I add one point to what Rima suggested? And a lot of people tend to do this. I would rather, and I'm talking on behalf of the fraternity, we would prefer the quality of experience. You'd rather compromise on the brand than the quality of your experience. Because what we want to know is what have you done, like Vikram said, and what value that's added to you, rather than where you did it. It's good if it's a good project in a great brand, fantastic. But that you shouldn't be very brand conscious because it's a short stint. Be conscious about the project and the kind of work and what you want to get out of it.
Yeah.
And may I a little less focus on the stipend maybe. So it all depends on the market. It's all market dynamics, right? It's a supply and demand equation that's working always. So if there are times when there is a dearth of internships with stipend, I think that bit of compromise we can make, unless of course the candidate is traveling huge distances and spending a lot to travel. So sometimes that also can become a barrier.
So in fact, I second that, Rima, because people pay lakhs and lakhs in terms of fees. A couple of months not getting stipend is not going to make that much difference. Think about it as investing into yourself. So I second that point.
Yeah, that's a very important message. I mean, don't just look at the brand which is giving you, but the kind of work that you're going to do. From the company side, what do companies generally do? Do they have people who are dedicated to focusing on interns? Do they have intern teams who kind of, or do they, I mean, generally, are there companies which have such dedicated teams? Or is it, are you aware of, do your own companies have?
Yeah, I can start with that. Organizations have a very structured way of taking interns. So gone are the days when you would induct somebody just because he's somebody's neighbor or somebody uncle or aunt knows somebody in the company and take them. I'm not against that completely. So long as somebody gets an opportunity. But I think most organizations have a structured way of determining the need of interns. Because it's a whole process. It's not that it's not a matter of chance that you just walk into a campus, or even if you're doing an off-campus hiring, or you choose to hire whatever number of interns. It is not an incidental thing. So a lot of thinking, structuring goes behind it. Which functions. So it's also part of the organization at that point of time. Which functions, which departments have a need for the interns, because you invest in a campus, or you invest in a program, or and then you offer internships, and these are the people who maybe a year later come back and join you. And then you historically hired from a particular school or a particular college. So it is also part of the relationship building with the college. So it is a well thought of process, because employers worry about their own ranking or their own perception, in the colleges or in the institutes. They don't want the students to go back and say, "Hey, we joined but karwaya kuch nahi," or we were just doing photocopying or data punching, So, but again, I think most responsible organizations don't do that. And they have a structured program, for all the interns. They form panels, in terms of right from determining, what they want, how many people they would need to hire, from where, and then having their internal benchmarks of how, because, this, you could be getting a lot of applications, so setting up parameters to filter out those applications, and then the interview panels also. So it's a busy time for organizations, when internships open up, So and I think and which is why the organizations also then demand quality, whether it is from the institute, and also they expect a high bar of applicants, because they are also investing. So it's a two-way street, right? So I'm investing so much, I would expect returns. So it's an equitable process.
Okay. Stipends are also common now, is it? Yeah, Frederick? Yeah.
Yeah.
Most companies offer stipends.
Most of them. So Sujit, I'll just take a few points from Vikram, and there's a two-prong approach, and let's be very honest. Yesteryear things are very different. Now there's a crunch for talent. Only 7 to 10%, and I'm talking from statistics which I've obtained from the research I've done. 7 to 10% of B school students today are employable. They're good, right? There's a war for talent, right? When we go and look at the timing in when you get internship opportunities. Maybe someone's 3 months into the program. In October, November, you're going and hiring them for an internship, and they're going to come and join you in April. So you're taking a punt on their potential, hoping that they're going to do well. You're going to test them out in April and May, because a lot of organizations are moving from an interview-based approach to a PPI PPO approach, where you interview them. The proof lies in the pudding. Let them come, test them, and if they're good, make them an offer before someone else comes and grabs them, right? Another approach is from an employer branding perspective. Now understand, like I said, there's this small pool of talent, and you want to tap the best guys. So when people come for an internship, and here's where you see the stipend game comes into place, where you want to not only provide a stipend, you want to provide a good project, and you want people to go back and say, you know what, boy, I learned so much in this company. It would be great to work in this organization. Just think about the number of signups which you'd get just because of one feedback of someone who's come and spent 2 months with you. So the strategy which organizations use for internships is very different, because one, you use it as an employer branding tool. Two is you utilize it to make sure your HR decisions or your recruitment decisions turn out to be much better, because a 45-minute interview while doing 50 interviews on a day may not be that accurate as doing that interview and having that guy come and do a project. And then you may also test the skills or the person's knowledge in an interview, but understanding character, understanding team, how he fits into your culture, understanding teamwork, how he's able to exhibit those softer aspects are not very easily captured in an interview process, and people don't tend to be themselves in an interview. They put the best foot forward, and they want to show you what you want to see, right? Of course, there are psychometric tools which help you dive in and dig in deeper, but bringing them to your organization and letting them experience that culture and see how they blend in helps you make your hiring decisions a lot stronger and a lot better.
This is widespread across industries, is it? Technology industry, yes, I'm kind of familiar with that. I think many of them use that. But you're saying it's across industries, this phenomenon?
For business schools, most certainly. And I've seen this seep into engineers as well, because you see, in the early 2000, 2003, 2004, the engineering colleges reached, there was a space where, we were churning out thousands and thousands is the wrong word, lakhs and lakhs of engineers, but again, they weren't employable, right? There were agencies like AMCAT which started testing that, okay, you're an engineer, good, now you take this test and then we'll see where you are, and then companies will hire you. Companies like Infosys and TCS actually set up institutes where they take people and train them. right?
Right.
So yes, there is that crunch. And if we look at India and the kind and the way our population is increasing in 2039, we are going to overtake China, and we're going to be the highest working population in the world. Now, how we utilize this talent depends on us, depends on the kind of the students or the programs or the higher education institutes, the ability of them to vocationalize the students to fit into industry. So either we become the talent capital of the world, or we become the world's next sweatshop.
Okay. I know you said don't take stipends and all very seriously. The focus should be on the kind of project you do, etc. But give me an idea. I don't know anything about this, but give me an idea. How much do companies pay as stipends? Some ballpark figures that are there to enter. How much do they pay?
It totally depends. It totally depends on one, the organization, two, the college they're going to. So it can range from 10, 20, 30,000, go up to a lakh of rupees.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it depends on which college you're going to.
Oh, really? Okay.
And
Get
of
on,
course,
guys.
if the organization structured program, then definitely they would have their own bands, and they would do that. They would do the banding based on the tiering of the college. So that's how it was. The one positive caution, I would say, there is one caution that some companies exercise before hiring interns, and that's a good thing, I feel, is sometimes organizations are also a bit tentative about the fact that will there be proper mentors assigned to those candidates who come in. Now, sometimes, when you have a structured program, you have everything chalked out. You know which project, which department, all the resources, infrastructure that's going to be given to the guy, and everything is ready. He or she comes in and starts working, starts performing. But if it is not so structured, and yet the organization might feel that there is a need to hire intern, then the thought comes that who's going to be there as the guide and the mentor. And the positive caution is, if they don't do a good job of guiding that intern, then that person will have a very negative impression about the corporate world. And that one negative experience of the summer internship can actually create a very, very negative mark, which can, even lead him to decide that he or she is not cut out for the corporate world. So that's a positive caution that happens. The other caution that happens is sometimes, even when organizations can accommodate interns, the thought is like, if whoever is the guide, the amount of time the guide would invest on that particular intern to teach that candidate the tricks of the trade, in that time the guide can probably do that job on his own, or on her own. So that's also something which at times comes in the way कि किसी को इतना कुछ सिखाने से अच्छा है कि मैं खुद ही कर लूं. So these are certain aspects which come up, and of course we need to get beyond that for two reasons. One is, of course, we benefit a lot from this relationship. Definitely, you don't have to pay huge sums of money in order to get interns. So there are very good people available, because there's no guarantee that someone from a great institute will turn out to be very good, and the vice versa would be true. That's not how it happens. So yes, you can get very good people, and they may not come in astronomical sums always. The other thing is, there is some responsibility, a little bit of responsibility that corporates should have towards making the next generation a little more employable, whichever way they look at it. I'm not saying it's a CSR approach, but if the responsible leaders of the organization think of it this way, that while we are grooming talent all across, how about owning maybe a couple of management institutes, basis their needs and their requirements and logistical aspects? Why not, have a continuous relationship with a couple of colleges and ensure that their students always get the right exposure?
Which industries are the most mature in this regard? What is your sense?
So I can, I don't know if it may sound a bit strange. There was a time when media and entertainment was not really seen as a very, very progressive industry in terms of HR. As in, there would be a lot of work happening, but I don't think the reputation was at that level as compared to, let's say, a manufacturing industry, which is known to be very, very high, in terms of HR practices. But I remember from my personal experience and also from the market studies and all that we used to do. So media typically, and I talk about this industry because this is typically an industry where the inflow of talent in general is less. You have, one set of people who are handling programming and content, let's say in Star, and then another company, another channel hires them, and they go to a third channel. So we could see the same set of people moving in the similar kinds of channels. Now situation has changed, but I'm talking about, let's say, 15, 20 years back. So that scenario used to be there, which is why all the more in some of these companies, the progressive HR used to have a very, very, or they still do, they have a very, very progressive management trainee policy, internship policy, where it is done as a conscious attempt and effort to get fresh blood in every single year. So I remember my Sony experience. We were regulars at MICA, IIM, Kozhikode, Indore, and we have actually done done sensitization programs in some of the graduation communication colleges to let them know what media industry is all about, so that from a graduation only they know about this industry, and probably some of them inculcate that interest to be a part of that industry. So I had seen media industry really work on this. I work with an IT company, and I worked with IT companies before also. So when it comes to technology internship, IT companies are very strong. So somehow, I mean, fortunately for me, in all the industries that I've been a part of, including manufacturing, and I was also a product of the management traineeship program when I was with the Tata Group, Haldia Petrochemicals. But usually, companies have this approach, most of them.
Okay. Because what have you seen? Which industries are generally all industries are quite mature now in this matter?
Well, most of them, yes. I mean, you look at iBanks, consulting, top, you look at any sector, right? See, I mean, unfortunately, fortunately, you look at institutes, you look at companies, you look at sectors, you can categorize them, right? So you look at any sector, you take the, top tier, tier one, tier two companies in that sector, they definitely would have a structured program, right? The other sad part, which is that smaller organizations, newer organizations, or SMEs, even if they were to hire from say top tier colleges, they may not be able to offer the kind of roles that are aspired by the students, or they may not be able to offer the kind of stipends that they're able to offer. So for most of the top colleges, the student organizations or the student committees, rather, they are in the driving seat. They manage those processes themselves. They don't wait for the college to line up the companies for them. So they manage the whole process. They decide which cohorts or which companies or which days, which companies comes on which days, or which cohort comes, gets to see the students first. So from good colleges, top colleges, top tier colleges, the students drive this process. From a company's perspective, the most of the structured, look at top tier, top one, top two tier in any sector, in any industry which actually hires from campuses. They would have a structured program, right?
Okay.
So, and again, not everybody hires on campus, right? Some companies choose to hire off campus. They will say that, okay, we will hire interns, but we will not go to the campus. We will not be a part of the campus recruitment drive, but we will hire off campus, right? So even then, like I said, but what I'm saying is that you can categorize in any discipline. The top tiers will make sure that they, because they're concerned about their employer brand, and for them the internships are not just 2-3 month affairs. For them those are their potential employees. And they're serious about who gets in. They're serious about talent they hire. So they rather have a structured program to filter out, candidates even at the internship stage as well. Yeah.
Got it. So, Frederick, in yesterday's discussion, you made this interesting point that LinkedIn is probably one of the good tools to reach out for internships. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, see,
you recommend that all
actually,
students have LinkedIn accounts.
yeah, see, I'll tell you why. Because it's hard to get access to or get your resume into the right person if you're going to carpet bomb every HR professional you know. But in LinkedIn or at LinkedIn, you have all the professionals over there on the platform. If you reach out to them, share your concerns, share this is what you want to do, I'm sure people will take out the time to help you and guide you.
Yeah.
Right? This platform wasn't there before. So people would send unsolicited emails, they would send letters, but here you have a platform where you have people not only there to guide you, but it's easier to connect with them, and then it's up to them whether they want to share the email ID, they don't want to share the email ID, entertain a conversation, or just guide you and say, you know what, we don't have anything, thank you so much, all the very best.
Rima, your suggestion for somebody who,
Point.
yeah, I mean, how to reach out? Often, like exactly like Vikram said, some relative or somebody and all that. You try to find a way to get into in that way, but otherwise, what's the best way to find a good internship?
So, of course, the colleges do their bit. So there are the training and placement officers who are formally tasked with finding internships for students. So that's one route, definitely. And I completely agree with Frederick. The way LinkedIn has opened up new vistas for people, not only job seekers at a different level, but even for interns, and it has worked brilliantly in our case as well. So last year, I remember when there was this entire COVID impact thing that was getting discussed. And as a company, we absolutely honored every single commitment we made, every offer that we had made to people, even the internship offers that we had made, we honored all of that. But later, when we were not really thinking of going all out and getting people in, interns in, there were some students who approached me and they mentioned that they're very keen to do good quality work, and they have faced some of these situations where companies who had confirmed their internship have gone back. So now they're in a bit of a fix. They want that experience in the corporate world, but they don't really know what to do. Now, I'm not saying that every single query that comes to me, I'm able to respond. So not that LinkedIn access is, not that I'm always accessing that and I have free time to browse through it. Yes, I use it, but perhaps not as often as I would have liked. So, but I saw these couple of queries and then I reached out to them and we kind of got into a win-win relationship where I said, well, the timing is such that I do have some live projects internally and very interesting ones on use of artificial intelligence, on digital marketing, something which will really excite them. And then we actually got them in, and there was a huge number of students who applied, and I was very, very happy to see the enthusiasm. And later, while talking to one of the students, I told him that, it actually started with you. That one mail you wrote, that one message you sent to me on LinkedIn, and I happened to read it at the right time and things clicked. So had you not reached out, perhaps this would have not happened. So yes, when we have avenues, this is what I mean by resourcefulness. You have to look around and you have to grab opportunities. That's how the corporate world is. So I would say whatever network you have, keep exploring those, all these conferences that used to happen in physical spaces earlier. So those were good networking opportunities for so many people, right? Today we don't have that, but we do have the different webinars and all, and we get the contact details of the speakers. So there's no harm in reaching out to them on LinkedIn, let's say, and talk about their intent. Now, will they definitely respond to each and every query? Perhaps not, but something might click. What's the harm in exploring?
Yeah.
Absolutely, Rima. An attempt may be a failure, but there shouldn't be a failure of an attempt.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, we have a number of questions, but you have answered most of them. As a question from Harpreet Singh on the criteria that each company offering internships. You answered that. There's a question from Neha Sinha, which you answered. Pranav Malhotra, which you answered. I don't know how you want to take this, but there's a question from Pushpendra Chaturvedi asking, how can an internship help to change the career profile from office admin to HR management? If anyone wants to take that.
Honestly, what you just, it's all about intent. So if you say, this is what I want to do, give me an opportunity, somebody's going to give it to you. And then you see, you explore. If you do well, there's always the opportunity to then, extend your internship and make that career shift. Career pivot isn't so tough. But of course, you need to have the understanding, you need to have the skill set. So if you have the skill set, you can make that pivot. Otherwise, develop that skill set while doing an internship.
Are there internships for mid-career professionals as well? Sorry, go on, Rima. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, so for the person who has asked this question, so I urge you to look up a model called PIE, PIE, Performance Image Exposure. So how we progress in our lives is not only a factor of our performance, but also of our image and exposure. If you're already working in an organization in one profile and you're desirous of making it big in another profile, stay connected with people. Use the internal network, use the external network to know what's happening where. And wherever you see opportunities, you should be the first one to put up your hand and say that, hey, I can manage this, just give me an opportunity. Not that it will work always, but then you have to make that attempt. So a lot of internal opportunities come up, and some companies do have, even global internal mobility programs. It's important to know what's happening where. So be in the know.
Yeah, and like Rima said, instead of looking at an internship, you should try and see which projects in your current organization you can get involved in.
Okay. But otherwise, for mid-career professionals, best to try and do things within their company, is it? Or I guess it's difficult to do something else somewhere else.
See, it totally depends on the person's skill set. See, every job has a different skill set. Now, if you say, will an internship help me develop that skill set? May not be. An internship's not going to help you develop that skill set. An internship will allow you the opportunity to experiment with that skill set to see whether you have that skill set or not. The internship as a platform may not be the best platform or the only platform which is going to help you make that pivot. You'd rather do a diploma in HR, get some understanding of the subject, get an understanding of why do you want to make that shift, what area in HR do you want to work with, right? HR is very broad. What gives you that kick? What kind of skill set do you have? What are the competencies you have which you can transfer and then make that shift?
Yeah,
everyone can make a conscious decision, a career change. So, but you need to have the thought process. You need to be ready to give up something to get something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't become without going to the police academy.
For this person who asked this question, moving from one function to the other, let's say take the same example, admin to HR. Admin, again, there are a lot of sub functions within admin, right? And similarly within HR, there are a lot of sub functions, right? So at a given point of time, what is, say, one function looking for where this person can use his or her demonstrated capability, can showcase his demonstrated capability in that area, right? For all you know, admin, say, I'm just giving an example, admin does procurement, maybe procurement is one of the sub functions, and maybe in HR, if it's a large setup, procurement is one of the sub functions within HR. So maybe there could be synergies. This person could be doing, say, front-ending customer service. An HR may need, some HR stock to do some front-ending in some, office or some area where, you can say, hey, these skills match. Of course, a lot of stars have to align for that to happen. The example that Dr. Rima gave, that somebody reached out to her on LinkedIn and the timing was perfect, right? So there are times when you have a role where you are still thinking that who could be the best fit, and somebody comes by and you you are flexible enough to even tweak your own requirement to be able to accommodate this person, because you realize that, hey, I can take bet on this person, right? And of course, if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So one must, I mean, if somebody is consciously decided to shift functions, it is doable. It may take some time. You have to be at the right spot, you have to be asking the right person at the right time. So like I said, a lot of stars have to align for that. But it is not something which is too um, uncanny or impossible to achieve.
Okay, I think we are. See, in terms of anything that we have missed which you want to talk about? I mean, last words. We are almost out of time. Um, Anything that you thought was important which we haven't covered?
Well, I can probably add very quickly is about sorry, there's a lot of interference, but
There's some background noise.
if you look at in terms of the process, the 70% interview process is a good CV. So I would want the participants in this program, if they are looking for internship, the first, even before you get an opportunity to sit in front of the interview board, your CV does the talking. How you structured it, how you structured it in a way that it is short, crisp. It's not a novel that runs in several pages. I don't expect an intern CV to be, more than one page. Even if there is a, you want to showcase every small thing you've done in life, in 4 or 5 pages, that's a no-no. I mean, it's a separate conversation for us, that is about the art of CV making. But before you reach the interview board, your CV reaches there first. So making sure that the CV is immaculate, free of grammar errors, grammatical errors, short, structured, to the point, crisp, showcases what you've done, and it is customized to where you are appearing. It cannot be a generic CV. You can't highlight what you've done, the company that you're appearing for.
Okay.
One comment I'd like to leave the aspiring professionals with is see, when we look for interns or people at entry levels, at that time there isn't much of ammunitions available with us to judge the skill of that person, right? Because it happens with experience. So whenever we are faced with this question of skill or will, we go for the one with the will. So if there is something lacking on the skill front, we know that that is trainable. But are you coachable? Are you trainable? Are you exhibiting the right traits in front of the interviewer? So the interviewer thinks that I will get this person in. Rest of the things I will take care. So exhibiting that will to be a part of the organization, do your right kind of homework, know everything about the organization, at least whatever is available in public domain before you go for the interview. So all of that will give the interviewer the impression that here is someone who's very much keen and intent on joining me, and I can't lose such kinds of talent. What happens with expertise, that's up to me to train him.
Absolutely. So that's a good note to end on. I mean, learnability, that's what everybody I hear talking about. Even if you are not terribly skilled, if you are the kind of person who shows the desire to learn, I mean, that's absolutely what everybody is looking for. To summarize this, yes, internships are absolutely crucial. It shows how serious you are about something. And take your internships very seriously. Do multiple internships to figure out where you think you might fit in best. And LinkedIn is a good way. I know this is becoming a good advertisement forum for LinkedIn, but it's a good platform to reach out to people if you're struggling to get into internships. So best of luck to all the youngsters who are listening to this. Companies, yes, I mean, there are, as the war for talent heats up, internships, the way you structure your programs is going to become crucial to how good talent you will get. So great messages from Vikram, Rima, and Frederick. Thanks a lot to all of you. It was really nice having you on the platform. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye, guys. All the best.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Yes.